You both said today that you love each other, and I believe it, but I'm trying to tell you, love is not enough for a successful marriage. There's so many other things that go in it. It's not just about you anymore.
Here is today's case.
Debbie and Tommy met on a popular dating site and have been married for 7 years. Both were dating other people, but felt an instant connection. Tommy's background as an airline pilot fueled their love of adventure. He proposed to Debbie and they had a riverboat wedding. Debbie now claims Tom is more obsessed with his dogs and expensive cars than he is with her. Debbie says if Tom doesn't fly right, she's ready to end it today here in divorce court.
Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, as you know, for the first time in divorce court, we have a virtual audience, and it's filled with your superfans. Today's superfan of the day is Tino from the UK.
Hi, Tino. Welcome to divorce court. We're happy to have you with us.
Your Honor, today's case is Wright Vs Wright.
Thank you, Juan. Debbie Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have brought your husband, Mr. Thomas Wright,
Yes, Your Honor.
to court today. You say the two of you have been together and married for 7 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
Together for 10 years, but you are having a number of issues in the relationship you want to discuss in divorce court.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll start with you, ma'am. Why don't you give me some background?
Well, we came here today because I'm having issues with Tom because he seems to think more about himself than anybody else. He has impulsive and obsessive issues with cars and stuff, and I'm just feeling kind of left out, like he has a wife here, so, you know, I need a little bit more attention paid to me.
And what do you have to say about that, Mr. Wright?
You know, I love my wife dearly, I always have, but it's gotten to the point that she nags constantly on every little thing I do, comparing me and everything I do to what somebody else would do, especially herself. She's always got to be right. Mm-hmm. And it's just getting frustrating.
Okay, so she puts herself in your shoes and she says, if I were you, this is what I would do?
She couldn't fill my shoes. She could try. She'd
Mm-hmm.
do pretty good. Mm-hmm. But I think she's a little bit more frustrated than she needs to be.
When did the nagging start? Because you dated for 3 years before you married. How'd you meet and when did the nagging start?
Well, we met online. I was working overseas and I'd fly home every couple of months. And
what were you doing overseas?
I was a contractor for the government.
Okay.
A contract pilot. So being single at the time, I would get online and make dates all around the country with single women.
Because you were a pilot.
I was a pilot and I was single.
To meet them.
And
You got more than you bargained for with me.
Yeah. We met online and it took us a couple of months to actually meet in person.
Were you living in the same city?
No, I was living in Denver and she was up in Montana. It's a long story short, I put my dog on the back of the motorcycle, and this is late September when it's getting chilly, drove 900 miles on a motorcycle with my best friend to meet her.
His best friend's a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured, you know, hey, she wanted me to come up here and meet her. She's interested in something for the weekend, and it was great.
How did you meet online? Was it on social media or something?
It was on social media. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
You just saw each other on Facebook?
It was on Plenty of Fish.
Oh, Plenty of Fish,
dating
okay.
site, yes.
Okay.
He actually said that he was 51 and he was really 61. So,
Well, that obviously didn't bother you too much.
well, I thought he was 51. Well, you mean after I found out?
That's
after
not
I found
really
out. Yes.
untypical on the dating apps or everything
I was
I've
simply
heard.
rounding down a little bit.
Okay, if that's what you want to call it, Mr. Wright, that's what we'll go with. That's one way to put it. And I'm not mad at that. So when you find out his real age, which is he was 10 years older, but you liked him.
Yeah, by then, you know, I'd got to know him, and so, yeah, I liked him. And I was actually dating 2 other guys at the same time.
Okay, Miss Wright.
But we talked on the phone a lot and stuff, and
That's why it's called Plenty of Fish, because there are plenty of fish. I get it.
Well, these were
She really
real
kind of tricked me.
persons.
Even her daughter called her a certain name for dating so many men simultaneously.
Well, how did she trick you?
Well, you know, she indicated that she kind of wanted a free spirit life like I do and go on adventures and things like that and travel and have fun and do fun things. I wasn't looking to get married initially. It was just kind of sprung on me.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we bought a house, we'd done some traveling, bought a house, you know, all the nice stuff, nice house, the house she wanted, the perfect house. And after a couple of years there, she just one day said, "So when are you going to marry me?" I'm like, that's kind of a surprise. I thought we had a good thing going here.
You were fine with having an exclusive relationship, but not necessarily going into marriage.
Absolutely.
Well, do you feel that she gave you an ultimatum?
Yes.
Did you?
No.
What did she
No,
say?
I did not
did.
give an ultimatum.
What did she say, Mr. Wright?
She said, basically, we've done all this together. Why don't we get married? You know, I'm ready.
As romantic as he is, what he did was he said, okay, do this. Look and see what the financial benefits are to being married versus staying single.
Well, I'm actually not mad at that because a lot of people don't realize when you get married, it's not just a love transaction, it is a life transaction. When you merge together, you're running a small business in a sense. So it's one of the questions that a lot of times people don't want to talk about. What happens financially if we get married? It's a fair issue to raise.
I was making relatively good money working overseas as a contractor. So I'm perfectly capable of blowing my money myself. I didn't want somebody else blowing it on things that I might not want. I open my lunch, take a bite of my sandwich, and there's a damn note in there.
Tom, be in aisle 10 of Home Depot at 6 p.m. tonight. I mean it. Miss Wright, what was so urgent about him meeting you at Home Depot at 6 p.m., so much so that you had to put it in his sandwich? So you were flying as a pilot overseas.
Yes.
Did you stop doing that job at some point during this relationship?
Yes, I did. My dream the whole time we were together was at retirement time, I wanted to start a small business of kayak tours. She had started the business for me. So I retired a couple years earlier than I had planned.
Okay.
It was worth it. I mean, we made a pretty good business.
So what happens, because it does sound like the two of you had a great thing going. You talked about life, what you wanted out of life. You were a free spirit when he met you, fishing, and you had plenty of prospects, it sounds like. You were flying yourself all over the country, going on dates, got on your motorcycle, drove 900 miles.
Well, the problem is he doesn't listen to me.
That's not true. I listen to you all the time.
I will make suggestions, kind of important suggestions, and he doesn't take my suggestions. They're kind of important.
Well, you keep harping over and
well,
over and over.
When you say he doesn't listen to you, because I will tell you, Miss Wright, we're in divorce court. Juan and I hear some doozies all day, every day. So I need you to be a bit more specific about the issues you say are happening in this marriage. Why is it now on the rocks after 7 years?
Well, for instance, we were leaving Denver one day and I programmed the GPS because, you know, that's the easiest way to go, right? Well, so he starts listening to the GPS, decides he knows a better way to get out of town. So then he goes his own way, gets lost. So we drive around town for an hour and ended back in the same spot we started in.
You do know since the beginning of time, men have not been good with directions. So this is not a surprise, but it should not be a deal breaker in this marriage. You should have known going in. But I'm curious, is there anything that you think she nags you about that you think, to her credit, is actually nag-worthy?
Very seldom. Most of the stuff I consider to be extraneous, maybe an irritant or something like that. Good example is she asked me to change a light bulb. Well, I'll get to it. Since we bought the house we're in now about 2 years ago, I've got 2 pages of projects I've done. So she came to me one time and said, I need you to change this light bulb. So I said, I'll get to it. I'll get to it, okay? Well, a week later, she asked me again to do it. I said, it's on the list. I'm sitting watching a car show. It's on a Sunday afternoon on TV. And I hear this clatter in the garage, and she's dragging the ladder in out of the garage, and I ask her, what are you doing? She said, I'm fixing the light. I said,
somebody's got to do it.
I'll get it. Not this minute.
It's just changing the light bulb?
She's going to try to.
Okay.
So she gets up the ladder, gets up there and gets wiggling and falls off and hurts her wrist. You know, she could have avoided that by simply not nagging me about it. I was going to get to it.
Or he could have avoided it by actually doing it.
So, and that's the issue, right? You want it done when you want it done. He wants to do it when he wants to do it. And the two of you aren't compromising on it. It sounds like he's not doing it when you want it to be done because he feels like you're nagging him about it. So if you maybe leave him alone, perhaps he would do it sooner.
I researched on nagging wives, and there's 3 types.
And you're saying she's which one, sir?
I would say she's the anxious wife.
What are you talking about?
You're creating more problems than you actually have. And you have to accept the man that you're married. If you'd like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed a show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms, and for exclusive content, go to Apple TV.
Well, here's a good example. I was remodeling a lot of the house and putting new floors in and stuff, and hadn't gotten to the floors, had taken all the old stuff up. Part of the kayak trip, we would take people out and take them out for lunch while we're kayaking, so we all have bagged lunch. I open my lunch, take a bite of my sandwich, and like, what is this? Open it up, and there's a damn note in there, and I submitted it, and it said something like...
Inside of your sandwich?
It's inside my sandwich.
Tom, be in aisle 10 of Home Depot at 6 p.m. tonight. I mean it.
I mean, that's an ultimatum.
Miss Wright, what was so urgent about him meeting you at Home Depot at 6 p.m., so much so that you had to put it in his sandwich?
I had been trying for weeks to get him to go with me so we could pick out a new faucet.
Oh, a new faucet?
Yeah.
For
and
what?
He just kept
the kitchen?
going for the kitchen, yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, I don't think Mr. Wright cares that much about the kitchen faucet. That's just my opinion.
But he does. That's his thing. He would say, well, I have to make sure it fits the holes. Mm-hmm. So he has to go check
when
it
it's
out
time to get
also.
it there. But to give you an idea, I researched on nagging wives, and there's 3 types, and she is one of them. There's a critical nagging wife who knows it all, her way is better. There's the bossy wife that says, do it my way now, which would be like the note she put in my food. And then there's a frenetic wife that she's uneasy until she gets what she wants.
And you're saying she's which one, sir?
I would say she's the anxious wife for the most part, with a little bit of each of the others in there also.
Can I tell you like a serious reason why he needs to listen to me? Mm-hmm. We were on vacation in Italy. We left our hotel and I said, do we need to grab the paperwork for the rental car? And he said, no, we're just going down to the next little town. It's fine. So we start driving down this mountain, and standing in the middle of the road is the Italian police.
That wasn't my fault.
Wagging or telling us to come over, and park there. So then they come up to our window and said, can we see your papers? Well, we give them our passports, and they want the car rental papers. Well, we don't speak Italian. He doesn't speak English. So we sat there for 45 minutes.
Yeah, but that's not my fault.
In a hot car. I tried to roll down the windows once.
Why do you say it's his fault?
Because I told him to get the papers for the car rental, and he wouldn't get it.
Because
so then they were checking us out.
There's a lot of crime and stuff over there. I didn't.
So
want
why
to
didn't you get the papers
anything.
and put them in the car if you're asking him to do that?
Because I have this problem of saying, do you think we should do this? And if he says no, I
well,
listen
Miss Wright,
to him,
I'm gonna tell you because I'm telling you what I find here. There are a lot of things that you're telling him or asking him to do, like change the light, for example. If you don't think he listens, take some initiative and do things yourself or have somebody else to do it. Money isn't an issue for the two of you.
And they don't happen fast enough because she's got me working a list of projects all the time.
Well, he doesn't always work on projects. He has a problem with cars. He is every night sitting and online looking up the next car he wants to buy. But they're not just any cars. He likes like the cool cars that will turn people's heads. But he's constantly buying and trading them because he gets tired of one and just goes on to the next one. So like, it was Christmas Eve. We're all standing around, drinking wine and having fun and enjoying each other in Christmas. And he's over on his phone. I'm like, what are you doing? He said, oh, nothing, I'm just looking. So then all of a sudden, he says, hurry up, we have to go. We have to be there before closing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We end up at the Porsche dealer, okay? And he decides he's buying this Porsche, so.
Did they have a one-day sale?
For me, it was.
I have the impression that Mr. Wright had an interest in cars when you met him. Am I right?
Yes, he did. He had a car.
That was something that he was interested in. Do you have any hobbies, anything you like to do yourself outside of the marriage?
I have actually started getting into local acting classes.
Well, Mr. Wright says you have enough drama to succeed in this career. He didn't
Well,
say that.
I
Okay.
pay for her
What
class.
else, ma'am? Give me another example. What are you doing? What are your hobbies?
I have a small business where I make T-shirts and decals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have
Is there anything else you want to add, Mr. Wright?
She started something, she calls it Wild Hair Day. And the way it works is anybody can call Wild Hair Day and they can do anything they want. You have to go with them or along with it with no complaints and a smile on your face. So her first Wild Hair Day that she called, she got me up at 4 a.m., smiled at me, said, I call Wild Hair Day. We're going. I said, where are we going? She said, I can't tell you. Well, she took me to see sunrise at the beach. That started it. It was only a few months later, I called a Wild Hair Day. I took her car up to the dealer and bought a convertible Mustang.
You set the rules. You set the rules, right? So there's nothing to complain about there.
We have 4 dogs, rescue dogs. Well, the one dog he had before he met me, and this dog is like the most spoiled dog. He goes everywhere with him. Well, obviously, he's on the back of the motorcycle coming up to see me. Here's the dog in the RV. So we get in the RV to go up north, and the dog is sitting in the co-pilot seat because he used to go flying with him and sit in the co-pilot seat. So I come in with the last load of stuff, and there's the dog. And the dog growls at me, and Tom's just like, whatever, why don't you just go in the back and have a nap on the way?
Let me say something to the two of you. You know, she's described some situations where, Mr. Wright, I think you can be a bit selfish when it comes to the dogs and the cars and these things. But, you know, I think this has always been who he is. I don't think the two of you had any real in-depth discussions about your long-term priorities in the relationship and in the marriage, because he wants to live his life and just wants some peace. And you don't see that as being indicative of what you see as a good husband and the attention that you want and you deserve. But I have to tell you, I think that Mr. Wright is pretty settled in his ways and in who he is. And you have to accept the man that you're married. So if you need some more help around the house, he doesn't want a list of things to do. You have to respect it. And I want you to get some more hobbies. So all of your attention is not focused on what your husband is and is not doing. You married who you picked, and you picked a free spirit. That's Mr. Wright. So don't try to change him now. Juan and I sit in this courtroom every day, and we see so many cases with so many problems that are insurmountable. That's not what you have here. You're creating more problems than you actually have. But really, Miss Wright, and I won't keep you because I know you all are on your way to Paris when you leave here today. Accept him for who he is, because I don't see any sweeping compromises coming your way. I believe Mr. Wright loves you.
Very much.
But he's loving you in his way, Miss Wright. You understand? So really and truly, this is up to you to decide whether this is the type of love that you need to sustain yourself in this marriage. But that decision is yours. You didn't come to divorce court today for a divorce. You came for some advice. That is my advice.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck to both of you.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
I think Judge Faith's verdict was very enlightening to me to hear someone from outside look at our problems honestly and openly. And it's opened my eyes. I think I can do better as far as listening to my wife's concerns and needs.
You know, Tom was this way when we got together, so I can be a little more considerate of not trying to change him so much, and we can probably work together and come to an equal understanding.